Ladies and gentlemen, truthfully, because these are our notes tonight, I'm not entirely sure you need me for this video. So hopefully this makes sense the first time around and we can go from there tomorrow in class. So I broke this up because now we're going to start talking about 1- and 2-step equations. I thought I would throw them together simply because this was an 8th grade concept that we worked on a little bit last year. So one of the important things to remember about all equations is that the opposite of addition is subtraction, and the opposite of subtraction is addition. The opposite of multiplication is division, and the opposite of division is multiplication. The reason we need to remember our opposites is because when we do equations, they undo each other. So our goal is to get our variable, our letter, entirely by itself. And these actions, these steps that we do, undo each other. So if I see that multiplication is happening, then I can do division to make it go away. If I see subtraction is happening, I can do addition to make it go away. So these things all work together in order for us to solve for our variable. Okay, so our directions, well, first we need to identify what is happening first. So the very first thing that's happening, we need to figure that out and then do the opposite. Okay, so directions, we're going to solve each equation for the indicated variable. I'm going to do 1 through 3, which means you are responsible for 4, 5, and 6. Okay, now a lot of people get solving and simplifying confused. Solving, we have an equal sign. Okay, so if you want to make a note, there's an equal sign whenever we solve. Okay, so some people in 8th grade learned that when we solve, we're going to just draw that line straight down. And I'm just going to do it for all of them. Why not? Okay? So that way we have to do one thing to get from one side of the line to the other side of the line. The first thing that I notice in number 1, and hopefully you see it too, is that we have these 2 minus signs. Hopefully we remember 2 negatives always equal a positive. So even though it said x minus negative 3, that's the same thing as saying x plus 3 equals 17. Okay, the first thing well, I shouldn't say first. The second thing I notice is that we have a plus sign. Okay, so we have addition happening. In order to get rid of addition, the opposite is subtraction. So we need to subtract 3. When I subtract 3 from this side, I have to subtract 3 from the other side of the line. Because whatever we do to one side, we have to do to the other side. It balances out. Okay, we have to think of it as balancing. Okay, when I subtract 3 from this side on the left side of the line, they actually are going to cancel each other out. So I'm only left with an x on the left side. And then 17 minus 3 is 14. And that is the final answer. X equals 14. Okay. Question number 2. I have 41 equals W minus 4. The thing that I notice about this is that we have subtraction happening. The opposite of subtraction, well, that's addition. So in order to get that to go away, we're going to add 4. If I add 4 to the right side, I have to add 4 to the left side of the line. On the left side, the minus 4 and negative 4 are going to cancel each other out, so I'm left with a W. And 41 plus 4 is 45. Final answer. Okay? And the last one I'm doing with you is number 3. K minus 8 equals negative 18. First thing I notice that's happening is we have subtraction. In order to get subtraction to go away, we have to add. So we're going to add 8 to both sides. On the left-hand side, the negative 8 and positive 8 are going to cancel each other out. So k equals, and negative 19 plus 8 is negative 11. Okay? So ladies and gentlemen, keep those things in mind when you do 4, 5, and 6. Okay? Moving on to two-step equations. Okay? This is where, if we know PEMDAS, we know that normally when we solve PEMDAS, we go left to right. We start with parentheses and we move all the way to addition or subtraction. With two-step equations, we go the opposite direction. We start with subtraction or addition, and we do that to both sides, and then we move to multiplication or division on both sides. Okay, so the first thing we do is add or subtract, then we multiply or divide. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at these. I haven't really decided which ones I want to do yet off the top of my head, so we'll see. I'll do number 1 for sure. Because we're solving, I'm going to draw that line straight down. Okay, step 1 is add or subtract. So whatever I am adding, so I'm adding this plus 3, I'm going to subtract it from both sides. Okay. On the left-hand side here, the positive 3 and negative 3 cancel out. So I have a 4a. 11 minus 3 is 8. Okay, so I have 4a equals 8. This right here, this 4a, is the same thing as 4 times a. Okay, so in order, if I see times, times means multiplication. The opposite of multiplication is division. So in order to get this 4a to go away, I have to divide by 4. Or I'm sorry, to get the 4 to go away, I divide by 4. If I divide by 4 on the left-hand side, I have to divide by 4 on the right-hand side. On the left-hand sides, they go away. So I have a equals, and 8 divided by 4 is 2. Okay. I'm also going to do 5. I'll do 3 and 5. So that means that you have to do 2, 4, and 6. Okay. Let's go ahead and look at number 2. Okay. We're solving. Draw that line. Step 1, add or subtract first. So I see a minus 1, so I'm going to add 1. Whatever I do to one side, I have to do to the other. So on the right side, those plus 1s, or the 1s will cancel out. 8 plus 1 gives me 9, equals 3r. This is 3 times r, so I'm going to divide by 3 on both sides to get r by itself. And r equals 3. 9 divided by 3 gives me 3. I just did 2. Dang it. So here. I'll do number 3. You guys do number 5. I was just really excited to do number 2, I guess. That's interesting. Okay. So let's look at number 3. Okay. Draw that line. So I see I'm adding 6. I'm going to subtract 6 from both sides. Okay, so I get a negative 2d left on the right-hand side. 42 minus 6 is a 36. To get d by itself, we divide by negative 2. When I divide by negative 2 on the right-hand side, the negative 2 cancels out. So I'm left with d on the right-hand side. On the left-hand side, 36 divided by a negative 2 tells me my answer will be negative. If I plug it into the calculator, I get negative 18. Okay? Make sure you have these copied down. Make sure you have your examples done, the 4, 5, and 6 from the first ones, and then the 4, 5, and 6 from the second ones. I will be checking to see if you have them done tomorrow. Okay?